It's 23 stories by 23 different authors, and tonight we're here. There's going to be a few readings, there's going to be some cartoon adaptations of the stories, and then the four themselves are going to do a gig, which is great. They're stories inspired by the four, so it's people listening to music, going away and writing a story, and that's what it's all about.
The title for me was really inspirational. I kind of took it and ran with it in my own direction, and I hope people like it for what it is, you know.
Jerusalem!
It's a very unique kind of commission. It's about artists working differently. Steve Martland wrote all the music without seeing the film, so we cut the film to the music, so kind of doing things very differently. So we shot it all chronologically, and things unfold on screen for the first time, so it's very much a kind of method piece.
It's all about people who really are down on the luck, and people that every capital city has.
It's just such a mesh of different stories, and apparently it's all based on fairy tales from around the world, but it's just, it'll blow your mind.
This is Industrial Resolution, the biggest screen in the world, indoor screen that is.
We are having a very complex but simple story of global issues.
And using that content in a live environment, creating a story live set to amazing DJ music.
I'm here composing music for a piece called Dead Wedding, which is, we sort of fondly call it a puppet opera.
Opera North asked us to do some sort of collaboration to adapt the original story, because it was Monteverdi's 400th anniversary of the original opera, and we thought it'd be a good idea to do our own version, which to take the figures into Hades and actually see what might happen. It's been very exciting to work with Mira. It's been the festival and Opera North that's brought us together. I don't think we could have worked with someone of her calibre musically. But the festival has definitely allowed us to that sort of collaboration.
I'm the curator of the Great Indoors, which is this free weekend for children and families. You can experience visual art, circus, music, dance and food, and different types of joining in activities.
It's just totally different from what we're normally used to, you know, seeing different exhibitions. It's just interesting for children, really.
And it's really important that work for children is taken as seriously as Manchester has taken it, so I think it set a precedent for really great things in the future.
It's a very haunting story about a man who hides in an attic from the Nazis. And when I was being shown around the Museum for Science and Industry, and I found this space, and I was thrilled with the possibilities of staging that work here, and I think it added to the aura of the piece.
This play, it's about a person who survived losing the notion of time.
It was evening and pitch dark when I heard a whisper under my loft. Hello? Are you there?
And this space suits perfectly to it. And it starts already before you come in here. You are in a very central Manchester, busy cities. I think it's almost impossible to find the space which suits better than this one.
We've been working on Migrations, which is a co-commission with Manchester International Festival and Youth Dance England. The whole piece is to celebrate the abolition of slavery, but also to sort of recognise that it is still happening all over the world. We're looking at the influence of migrating peoples, in particular to this country, what they bring to this country, the richness that they bring in terms of their culture and their dance forms.
I think this was great because it's the first time Kurdish community joined this festival.
Kurdish culture being joined in with the other cultures. Like we all one, we are all humans, like we've got the right to show ourselves.
The idea behind the Rusholme project was to really explore the area. We were asking the artists to respond to the form and functionality of Rusholme. But the whole piece is covered in everyday kitchen utensils, and these are utensils familiar to the South Asian communities, and if you go in any restaurant in Rusholme, you will see your food served in some of these utensils.
We're committed to important and urgent stories of our time, so we worked with The Guardian to create the Guardian debates. We also created our own series called Festival Futures, and across all of those it was about taking important subjects, whether it was slavery in our time, is TV good for society, you know, the future of the body, the future of the planet, a lot of important subjects, and we debated them.
I'd like to start by thanking The Guardian, who, as the name suggests, has sponsored this debate.
Should we stay as we are, vulnerable to a range of diseases that cause premature death and illness? Or should we try to take our own evolution by the throat and push it in a new generation?
You're actually conflating what is the organised religious traditions in the world which have emerged and evolved in a pre-modern society.
Do you believe that religion has to be progressive to be acceptable, or should it remain in the Stone Age?
London isn't bad for Manchester, it's just bad for anywhere that isn't London.
I think it's really interesting that we are having a debate about the future of journalism, because in the last few years it's completely transformed itself. So I'm quite interested to see what the audience thinks about where news should go, where journalism should go.
What I want to illustrate is that violence is the glue that holds slavery together at that time and today.
She started to beat me with a sandal with her hand, wherever her hands got to.
What we're really talking about is whether or not politics should harness art for itself.
And to stuff them back into that dead old athletic sock is an act of murder. Thank God we disagree, okay? And just like say that's how we know we're alive.
I think the speakers were exceptionally good, very, very good at communicating particularly complex ideas.
We already have children in society now that will probably develop diseases by the time they get to their 20s, which we would normally associate with people in their 50s.
I think it's extremely important to have intellectuals and universities in general leading public debate on important and complex subjects.
What an enjoyable afternoon.
It's nice to have this much oxygen in the room.
The Iraq War is probably the most important story in terms of British society. Steve McQueen was commissioned as the war artist.
This artwork is not anti-war and it's not pro-war. It's just about the individuals who actually died for their country, and therefore for them to be celebrated in the right and correct fashion. Politics was not involved in this. It was all about commemoration and, you know, understanding each other's pain.
I'm Rachel Davis, and I've made a piece of work which is a video installation called The Assembly. The piece has come about through my desire to re-look at a time of my life when I was in a choir in Manchester called the Manchester Girls Choir. There's a reunion. Girls who are 25 years ago were in the choir, so they've all come.
The film was just really good. It summed up what it was like to be in the choir when I was in it, and it's just been amazing seeing it.
And there'll hopefully be a swapping of stories and experiences.
And I've been commissioned by Cooch and the Manchester International Festival to compose music for the Beating Wing Orchestra.
There are so many different communities. One of the biggest art forms they bring with them is the music. We thought
What would be great would be to find the best musicians and give them the opportunity to come together, to play together, and produce something quite special. We've got a Chinese opera singer, we've got a percussionist from Congo, we've got another percussionist from Brazil. You know, there's such a rich range of different skills. Manchester people are desperate to see something different, something that's got more vibrancy.
And they're over the moon, and this is their beginning. And I'm back to London with my band, and then they're doing this. So I just hope against hope that they carry on, and invite me every now and then. So.
To the ballet to see Carlos Acosta, and it was absolutely, it's indescribable, it is spectacular.
I think the best bit was seeing him do the Cuban dancing at the end. That was just, I mean, the kind of classical stuff was great to see him kind of, you know, in what everyone knows him for, but then just to see him doing the Cuban dancing with his Cuban dance troupe was just, and everyone standing up at the end and them coming out into the audience, everything, it was really good.
This country gave me the opportunity to expand and to grow, and hopefully this collaboration with the Manchester Festival is just the beginning of a long-lasting relationship.
Amazing experience. Everybody who's living should see these people. Honestly, so fantastic. I'm overcome. I might cry.
Il Tempo del Postino was 15 of the world's greatest visual artists all making new work.
Usually, you know, a museum or an exhibition space is given to artists and they share it for a group show, so the works coexist. What if one would actually have a time sequence in an exhibition? If in the exhibition artists wouldn't given space but time, and the artists all felt it would be a great idea because it would also somehow produce very different work.
We're part of Carsten Holland's piece for Il Tempo del Postino, and these goggles turn everything upside down.
Inconvenient is the best way to describe it, a bit strange, and certain tasks are really quite difficult, like really things you never even think of, like putting toothpaste on a toothbrush is impossible.
I think Il Tempo is a one-off. I don't know whether that's a good thing or a bad thing.
It really kind of makes you think about the whole issue of tempo and time in our lives.
The very first time we came to Manchester, we had wonderful conversations with Peter Saville, who actually told us that time had been invented in Manchester. And that obviously reassured us in the fact that we definitely had chosen the right city for our time-based exhibition.
Unknown Pleasures was a series dedicated to new bands, and it ran all the way through the festival and culminated on Salford Quays with the kind contributions of Salford Council, with the Horrors, the Gossip, and a local band, the Whip.
The Whip are really good.
The Whip is good, very, very good they were, and also we are waiting for the Gossip.
I've not heard a lot of other bands before, but it's a quality atmosphere. So I've got all the same bands and the same genres, and it's working quite well.
I'm really happy that the lineup came together for this. You know, it's quite a party. You know, the Gossip, people are going to be buzzing, walking away, and you know, it's really going to be lively and energetic. I think it's quite a nice send-off.
The brilliant thing that Manchester has done is that the public sector and the private sector have kind of come together to provide a sort of a significant and working budget for this.
It's really great having it underwritten by sponsors, and also being able to spend money on providing a really special experience for the people that will go around.
I would hope that this is the beginning of a long, long relationship between Manchester and, you know, the cultural events of the world.
Every show was from pretty good to really great. there was such a convergence of talent during the festival, and I think Manchester should be proud of that.